Each chapter. So for the viewers, if you want to read it, pause nyo na lang. Say that I'm scared of what's happening is a gross understatement. Trouble of any sort is the last thing I want to get home to after a long day at work and a trip to the bar. And when I see Hana near prostrate, I can only feel dread. She twitches and seizes, body wound and coiled tight before trashing, shuddering and shaking. Like a woman possessed, her mouth falls open and her eyes roll to the back of her head. It has the hallmark signs of a seizure. The symptoms are similar enough. That knowledge, the fact that I know this, only makes me feel worse. Any anger I had caused by disagreement on parting ways, no matter how temporary she claimed it to be, disappeared. The alcohol-induced daze that I felt was brushed aside as I ran to help her. None of that mattered at the moment. But to hold her close is all I can do while she trashes about. I know this is wrong, that I'm not supposed to hold her down, yet I do it out of instinct, reflex even. I'm terrified of hurting her, but I see no other way to keep Hana from hurting herself. It takes a lot to keep myself from running off to get help when she needs me here. It takes everything I have to keep myself intact. When she says my name, I realize that the seizures have stopped, but that doesn't make the dread go away.
Luke, please.
What happened here? Who did this to you?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
The sight of her tear-streaked face is enough to twist the knife in. It does not help that I'm as lost as she is right now, and all I can say is...
Shh, it's alright. You're safe now, Hana. You're safe now.
It takes a bit to go through the house with my inebriated self. That's even made worse by the fact that I had to carry a nearly unconscious person as well. I was about to give up too, up until Shirokin shows up to lighten the load. He quietly takes her from me without question and brings her up to the bedroom. And me? Well, I couldn't bring myself to follow. Not right now. Not while I'm drunk and rattled by what had transpired. It's a miracle I was able to help at all. I had tried to get knackered, hoping to score another taste of mint while I was out in the city, though I can't bring myself to go home with another woman in the end. If I did go with someone, it might have been too late. Just thinking about it. No one might have gotten to Hana in time, and had I not gone home earlier than I intended. So here I am, sulking in a parlor chair with a glass of wine in hand. I can't even remember what particular vintage it is, and I practically did not care right now.
Because when you're already drunk and still have problems, even more alcohol should help.
Of course, the butler chooses now to appear and be unhelpful.
You know what actually solves all problems? Death. But it is not recommended. Alcohol isn't a true solution either.
It's worked well enough for me.
I'd like to believe that I get my best ideas while I'm thoroughly hammered. Not everyone might agree, but they can't really do anything about it, can they? With a fuck ton of money comes great power, sometimes responsibility. And with that responsibility comes a lot of reasons to get drunk. Of course, I can just tell responsibility to sod off if I was feeling reckless, and Christ, I must be really drunk if I'm thinking in circles. I just need something to focus on and I should be fine.
How is she? Is she alright?
If panic crept into my voice at the question, I don't let it show. It would be a show of weakness to be so frazzled. show so much concern over a woman who is going to put me aside. People like him who work for me, I trust with business, but not with myself. Never with that. Only Hana has come so close. Only she has truly seen the man beneath the facade. Only her actions can wound me so.
Sleeping. Aside from a few bumps and bruises, she seems to be fine. A maid is watching over her for now. It is best not to leave her alone. But, if I may ask, what happened? I was in the gardens when I heard screaming. Did you...
No, it wasn't me.
I'm quick to be on the defensive. I may be capable of a lot of horrible things, but I would never harm her, of all people, no matter how angry I might become. I would never lay a hand on her to hurt her.
I didn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything like that. I don't even have a reason to.
You don't consider her wanting to be a part as reason?
It isn't. Well, it is. I don't want to talk about it right now. But what happens was I got home. She was seasoned in the kitchens. Is she ill?
Not that kind of doctor. But I've already scheduled your physician for a house call tomorrow morning. We'll still have to monitor her as soon as she wakes up and...
Oh god. Things are coming back to me. I need a drink.
Really? You're still drinking?
Why, yes, it seems to be the bloody best time to be drinking. I'm allowed, aren't I? After all, I've just found my wife having a seizure, and I shouldn't give two shits about it. Not when she's about to leave me.
But I do. Goodness, I do. A big generous gulp just makes it so that the taste of cherries, raspberries, and strawberries wash over my tongue. The thing too sweet considering its deceptively earthy aroma. Avel's Vineyard, seasoned red, isn't really something to scoff at. I've had many good memories with this particular drink. This particular bottle, in fact, was a gift. It serves the purpose Lady Blairnot had given it to me to forget. All the same, whether I took this bottle or a Pinot Noir, it is just a means to an end. I will probably have to finish the whole bottle to get drunker than I already am.
But no, she doesn't need to be taken care of. If she wants her time apart, she'll have it.
It'll break my heart to just let her go, but she deserves this much, doesn't she? We both deserve this much. I'd be a hypocrite if I don't let her go. Besides, Daisy would laugh her ass off or be filled with horrible pity if she knew. I'm not supposed to let someone else define me, and if I refuse to let her go, I'd be forcing myself to define her.
She's had her uses.
She's done a lot for me in the 7 years we've been together. I pursued her at first for the money. It was supposed to be strictly business. There might have been a time too when I considered taking her out of the picture so that I can do with the money as I pleased. I had planned to manipulate her, and I feel horrible thinking about it. Along the way, I had changed, if only for her. Perhaps my father would scoff, tell me I've gone soft. Maybe I have. Does it matter? 7 long years. Had its ups and downs, and it certainly hasn't been a perfect marriage. We had our fights. Who hasn't? But those small moments where we could just laugh and be our happy selves were always magical. We made all these years worth it, and I had seen many more years to come. So where did I go wrong? I've loved only 2 women in my life. Mother dear, bless her soul, and Hana, who has been my sunshine for so long. Losing her, I feel that I might become more like my father. Had Damien Wright stayed with Mother or any of the other numerous women he's had a child with, would he have been less of an embittered shell of a man? Would having a darling love in his life made him a better person? Perhaps it is bias of me to doubt so. I don't think I can ever see the old man in a favorable light.
I'm just surprised that you're not afraid. She might be leaving with delicate information.
Oh, she might know something. But if she hasn't done anything with the knowledge for this long, I don't think she would do anything now. If she had even an inkling of what I've done, what I'm capable of, she'll know it's not a good idea. Hana's a smart woman.
Smart, kind, hardworking, generous, loyal. I can go on and wax poetic about her if I had any talent with the stuff.
Why don't you sit down and have a drink with me? Don't worry, it's not poisoned or anything.
Lonely? Oh, I suppose there's no harm.
With a shake of my head, I procure another glass and pour some of the red wine. Watching the red liquid is fascinating all on its own, with my muddled brain, but I barely notice sloshing some of it and staining my suit. It'll be an utter bugger to clean, so I'm glad that isn't my problem. Handing it over, I can't help but look up at the ceiling and let out a sigh. My eyes, damp, glaze over, though I won't let it go further than that. Raising my own glass for a toast, I clear my throat.
Cheers for something or another. A brat going away to college, a bonus at their job, couples having it off. Those happy things, I suppose. Whatever. I don't give a fuck.
A bit less eloquent than your usual speeches, but zum Wohl.
Wohl. A sip. A gulp. Refill. Rinse and repeat until the bottle of Veln has barely a fifth left. I must have drunk most of it because I barely see Shrokin take a sip after his first glass. It certainly feels that way. I don't even think I can stand up, let alone walk. I'm all legless. My mind just feels so funny and everything else is equally hilarious. Bloody hell, I think I can make out faces of a bald man on the wallpapers. With the butler also standing up, he looks like a skyscraper from where I'm seated.
Jesus Christ, I have Sasquatch as a butler.
I have a great alcohol tolerance to this, so this, seeing how I'm a giggling wreck right now, is, I assume, really bad. If there's any sober part left to me, it'd probably shrivel up and die just thinking of the hangover that'll come in the morning. I can't help but get distracted at the sight of moonlight peeking through the curtains. Shiny and shimmery and absolutely splendid. Shining, shimmering, splendid. See what you did there. Even if the night brought calm, it is the moon that always enamored me so. It is a second sun, but just as beautiful as my sunshine.
I want to go out and look at the moon. Mommy, I can't feel my legs.
Luke.
Mutter, I am not. Don't tell me I have to carry you upstairs to bed.
You know, Hana, she told that photo man that I was a trying husband. I can't even. The nerve of them, right? He goes and takes her out shopping, and they give me lip service in return. I bet they were talking shite while they were in the store spending my money. Am I a trying husband, Joe?
Joe.
I wouldn't know. You're not my husband, are you? But you are a trying Dummkopf when you are this drunk.
Mint got me a bit into the whiskey, but other than that, I've been trying real hard. You can vouch for me, right, Joe? I haven't put my hands on a pretty lady unless they ask me to. Not that I did that before, but you get my point, Joe. If Marianne has anything to do with this, I swear I told her she shouldn't mess with me. I'll bite her hand. Miss Pink is right. I don't know how she can even put up with me. She deserves far better than me, but I don't want Hana to leave me, Joe. Oh God, she's the love of my life, you know? I'm a shy human being without her. I should... Flowers. Lots and lots of flowers. all of the flowers. Enough to make the Queen's Gardens look like a fucking dumpster fire in comparison.
All well and good, but you are not achieving any of that while you are lying on the carpet. Now, if you can lift your skinny ass and work with me. 1, 2, 3.
But I don't want to go to bed. The moon is so pretty tonight.
I should just let you sleep on the ground, Bratwurst.
That's October 20th. The bottle.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty face from day to day. Come on, Mummy, wake up. I want to be in that play. Mummy, wake up. You promised that you'd help me practice my lines today. The auditions are tomorrow, so I have to practice. The last syllables of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools. The way to Dusty. Mummy, are you...
I choke back a scream and wake up in a cold sweat. With my heart pounding in my ears, it takes a while to remember where I am. Oh. In the dark and cold of the room, one can't fault me for feeling ill at ease. It isn't as bright as the penthouse, and the renovations did little to change how old it feels. We've been here for less than a week. It'll take a bit more time to adjust. Hard to feel cozy though when I'm bloody freezing. Nudging the lump of fabric next to me, I sigh.
It's cold. Don't hug the sheets, Hannah.
I always did this though, it hardly bothers me. Growing up, I was lucky to have something to use as a mattress. I'm not the one who grew up accustomed to Egyptian cotton with a thread count of 800. Besides, the warmth that Hannah exuded on her own is usually enough to keep me sleeping through the night. Temperature tonight must be something else with how chilly it is right now. I must be considerate. After all, the poor dear is ill, though I loathe to think about what had just transpired.
Don't make me pull those sheets off you. That blanket is large enough to cover an elephant. You need to share.
It takes a while.
What was that, honey? Apologies. I'm just in the loo, so if you can give me a moment.
There's no sign that they'll be moving where they lie. With care, I go for a knife hidden under the side of my bed. It would be foolish of me to instigate anything while I'm unarmed after all. To pull back the covers would be a more difficult affair. Just reaching out to uncover who was underneath, I have to prepare for anything and assume the worst. If I so much as see the nozzle of a gun, there's nothing to be a murder. There's going to be a murder tonight. I know they say not to bring a knife to a gunfight, but I think I can sink a blade in his liver faster than he can point and aim. I see the rise and fall of the sheets, though it could easily be mistaken as the fault of the breeze. I hear their breathing. A great sense of foreboding comes over me, making me hesitate with my plan. I should just get Hannah and myself out of here, not look back and let security handle it. That's what they're there for. Or maybe I should just man up. There's no way I'm risking the chance that inaction will put Hannah in danger. But what's the worst part that could happen? What's the worst that could happen, right? I've no reason to be afraid. There's no boogeyman under the bed, no monster in my closet. If anything, these things should be afraid of me. Right? I grab a fistful of sheets and throw them aside. Nothing. Nothing but a bunch of pillows stare back at me. Must be my imagination. I'd rather not think I'm going mad. It could very well be the stress getting to me. All this drama with Hannah. I've been doing well all these years, all things considered. I guess I do have a breaking point. But still, the world goes on even if one cannot, and I must go along with it. I suppose a day off or two tomorrow wouldn't hurt. Rest, aside from a few hours of sleep, will be welcome. More of them. But I can't shake off the unease. I dare say that I feel afraid, irrationally so, that something will come creeping and crawling from under the bed, even as I lay back down and close my eyes. The odd dreams don't linger, thankfully, but with the morning comes another disturbance, both too loud and too sharp for my tastes, and I have very fine taste. When the piercing rings of a doorbell reaches even the bedroom, I'm very much inclined to think the person who built this place lacks any sense of it. Perhaps the only thing good in this is that the ruckus has chased away the needling guilt from last night's commotion, if only temporary. Still, it's a bloody annoying distraction. I can tell already that it is going to be a long day. It hasn't even started. Before the racket even lasts another minute, I'm peeling myself off the bed and heading straight for the main door. There'll be a murder today if this doesn't let up. How quaint. Seems everything in this blasted universe is intent on getting in my nerves as of late.
Gordon Bennett! Only a Nancy would knock at such an ungodly hour!
In the first place, I shouldn't be the one doing this. This is why I hired a valet, for fuck's sake.
Where's that damn butler when I need him?
I'll be honest, only for today. With the mansion this quiet at this hour of the morning, easy to believe those little ghost stories might be real. But the only horror here is how long Hannah's patience with me will last after the incident at the party. Neither the deafening silence nor the biting chill spreading across every room in the place. There's no place for fear when another set of problems already burns that fuel. So, I wait for another second. When no butler still answers my call, I simply yank the doors open myself, perhaps with more force than needed. Maybe it should be appropriately there, considering the person on the other side and the hour he dared appear on my doorstep. Even someone with half a brain knows not to disturb anyone this early. Brief confusion quickly gives way to anger. Before the bloody photographer can get even a word in, I'm hurling venom at him. It's less than he deserves, really. Hannah will disapprove, hold me for treating the man with such disrespect, if she hears me right now. She seems fond of him, after all. Treats him like a friend she's known for years. She's not here, isn't she? What she doesn't know.
You! Again! It's bloody 6 in the morning! What the hell is it now?
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time! Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't!
This is still my home. My rules also apply to this place as much as Hannah's do. As simple as that.
Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep.
Just so happens it's also a person I will never take a liking to. No need for remorse.
Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
He continues shouting, even as I slam the door in his face. Some nonsense about the news lately, though I don't understand most of it. However, with the closed doors muffling the better part of it, and with no ears to listen, his tirade doesn't last too long. Eventually he leaves and silence once again fills the room, as it should. In hindsight, maybe I should also call for psychiatric services. Certainly sounds mental just screaming like that. Suspicious man like him left roaming the immediate grounds? Nothing good can come of it. But if his presence will indeed bring a problem, a sign of bad things to come, I'll probably know soon enough. Worst comes to worst, Shokin will take care of it, if need be. It's what I'm paying him for. In the meantime, the bigger problem at hand, hangover. Maybe I'll have some absinthe to temper it, dog hairs, some wine to help me get back to sleep. Still early, one glass won't hurt. Or two. Whatever the case, I need to think, wherever that will lead me to. It's nothing. Everything leads to nothing. Except for this pounding headache, as if my mind will burst at any time and leak out of my ears. The vision swims in and out of view. Where are we? And my stomach threatens rebellion, with plans of making me throw up what little food I've taken in with how my mouth feels, like it's filled with cotton. One would think that the fact that I'm hungover would make me the grumpiest person in the room. But, as it is, my eyes move over to Hana, who is stirring sugar into her tea and scowling down at it, all the while as if it has just murdered a baby in front of her. I have half the mind to bemoan my current state and make a fool of myself just to make her smile. And I'm rather good at bemoaning. Not that I would admit that. Why, I'm already adopting the posture of a whiny teenager as I speak, slouched forward with my cheek on the table.
Oh, I'm dying. Oh, God, I'm dying. Hana? Johans, call an ambulance, please. Let it be known that I leave all my belongings to Hana right near Evans. Everything but 30,000 quid. But oh, I see a bright light. I see a farm. Mother dearest, is that you? Little Lucille is on his way home. I'm so sorry, but I must leave you, Hana. Cover my face. Your eyes dazzle. I die young.
That much I can manage through the hangover. I think entirely of my fault considering I've twice drunk the night before. Another thing I will never admit. Really, it's a miracle I haven't acquired alcohol poisoning yet.
Oh, stop being so melodramatic, Luke. Besides, you never lived in a farm. You hate farms. We are not bringing you to the hospital for a hangover. Really? One would think you'd be used to it by now with how stubborn you are about your drinks. Dare I ask what the 30,000 quid is for, though?
It pulls a small smile from her for a moment, but the pinched look on her face returns quickly enough.
He lost a bet with Robert and Elise after a night of drinking at the Crawl. 10,000 each. And another 10 to me.
The sneer that makes its way on my face doesn't hold as much heat as it usually does. It's just a bit of friendly ribbing. Though I still wish he wouldn't tattle. Of course, it was my fault for mentioning the money. It wasn't like anyone will notice 30 grand missing from millions, though. That's how much I spend on a normal weekend.
Oh, must you be such a teacher's pet? I told you not to talk about it.
I'm having second thoughts about moving to the penthouse. If this is what you do when I'm not looking.
I've almost forgotten about that little arrangement too. Shame. Hopefully that's the reason why she's so intent on glaring at the table until its varnish peels off. The alternative would be covering.
It was that one time. I'm not a child in need of minding or mother hens. As much as I'd love for you to stay, you said you need some time to yourself. Don't let the fact that I lost a bet once make you think I have to be supervised.
It wasn't. I'm just worried about you, Luke. I'd be less so if you actually sat up.
Why are you worried about me? I'm more concerned about what your doctor told you. How did the house call go?
I didn't want to intrude on her privacy when the doctor arrived. A ridiculous sentiment considering I am still her husband. But it wasn't like I could have done any good being there, what with nursing a hangover and all. However, a part of me feared what would be said. To mention, I trust that Hana would tell me if it is something serious. Of course, it probably is something bad. I would be a fool to hope otherwise. I found her having a seizure, for goodness sake. Should have rushed her to the hospital as soon as she awoke, but it was her insistence that kept me at bay. A cup of tea finds itself in my hands, an attempt to appease me, no doubt. But I don't bother to drink, let alone look up. If anything, I just press my forehead on the table to hide the childish pout on my lips. Not that this is any better.
It was fine. The physician took some of my blood, and he scheduled me for a few lab tests tomorrow morning. I've already called for a driver and attendant to accompany me, so there's no need for you to worry.
And what? You'll just be leaving me behind then? And I don't think you should be going anywhere alone.
You hate hospitals even more than you hate farms, Luke. And Kylie's coming for your play date tomorrow, remember? Relax. I'm taking Johans with me if it makes you feel better.
Herr Dr. Hobbs asked that I keep her under observation for the time being. Naturally, I'll be reporting my findings at the hospital.
Sitting up, I run a finger over the rim of my teacup and mull it over. I do hate the bloody place. Thought hiring Shrokin would have been enough for me to avoid the place. Apparently not. Bloody doctors and bloody sick people. Don't want to catch anything contagious. I can't even tell crying people to shut up if they get too annoying. Respecting their grief, my ass. Say for a life and death situation. I'd rather avoid the mass graveyard that hid beneath the sterile air and white tiles.
I guess you two can go without me. But I can't believe how naturally you two conspire behind my back. Don't expect my help if those bloody doctors bleed you two dry. Vampires, every single one of them. Not as bad as lawyers and politicians, but close enough. You do know Carly will be upset when she finds out you're not here tomorrow. Again.
She'll be happy enough to spend time with her fairy godfather, I'm sure. You're a good role model for her, despite your whining.
No matter how many times Hana claims that whining is unbecoming of me, I never listen. It's not like anyone that matters is here to judge. Well, it's not like anyone else actually matters. I'll whine if I bloody well want to, and I'll be no lesser because of it. Of course, I will not tolerate another person's whining. Except perhaps for Hana. She hardly ever does that. Even right now, I can see as a look of pain passes on her face and her hand goes to her stomach. Yet she keeps quiet, not bringing it up or complaining. What should I do? Okay. Call for an ambulance. I think ask if she's alright.
Are you alright? Should we be concerned? Maybe we should bring you to the hospital now.
I just feel a little queasy, that's all. A bit more tea in me, maybe some more sleep, and I'll be right as rain.
I've spent a lot of time around people who lie for a living. I can't help but feel that there's more to it than just that. Maybe it is just as she says, and I'm overthinking it. But I trust Hana will fess up before things can get any worse. She's never really lied to me before. Nothing big, at least.
If you're sure, I'm just worried. You'll tell me if anything is wrong, right? You do know you can still trust me. That I do still care about you?
I know that. I'm just going to be moving out soon. Even if it is for a short while, you won't always be there for me.
Did you finish packing before you... I understand if you haven't, and I won't blame you if you've changed your mind after what happened. You can stay until you feel better.
I'm still moving. It isn't like you can't visit to check up on me. Although that does somewhat defeat the point. Luke, I'm a big girl. I'm going to get a checkup tomorrow, take whatever pills they tell me to get, and get over it. You really don't need to worry. I'm fine.
Though I do so hate those words, I hide my scowl by taking a sip of the tea, fighting off the urge to hurl the cup at the wall. I'm fine, she says. Lie. Apparently the sour disposition I have, one not entirely born from my hangover, is still obvious. Without saying a word, Hana puts her hand on mine and squeezes it tight. Her hands are cold and clammy. Grip is weak. I can see the small tremors that run along her shoulders and the paleness of her cheeks. She has yet to recover from what had happened to her. She's not fine. And I'm not either.
Fine. I don't need to like it, but fine.
I don't think either of us really like it. But I do think it is for the best.
Perhaps we should bring you back to bed. The sooner you are off your feet, the better.
Is that some sort of roundabout way of saying that you want to sweep me off my feet and take me to bed? This isn't our honeymoon. I need rest, mister.
I'm aware that this is the farthest thing from our honeymoon. It isn't how things are supposed to be. Hana isn't supposed to leave. I'm not supposed to let her. And if she ever did leave, it's supposed to be on my terms. Everything is going wrong, but I respect her enough to let her have her space, as she so puts it. If divorce is brought up, however, well, that's another matter entirely.
Really now, you shouldn't have gotten up in the first place. Breakfast in bed exists for a reason. Come on then, back to bed you go.
Are you going to carry me to bed then?
You're far too heavy for that. Johans could carry you, if you'd like.
Can you blame me if I enjoy food too much? I can walk, thank you very much.
I don't say a word as she clutches my arm to steady herself. There's no protest as she uses me as a crutch while going up the stairs. But that's as far as I want to go. Judging by the light blush on Hana's face, she's gotten self-conscious about it too.
Johans, look after her, and you stay in bed. I just need to go out.
What's a tea? I'll have plenty of time to be lonely in the mansion by myself when Hana moves out. For now, I can go and stretch my legs. Fresh air, all that. Breathe. Gray skies loom over in the horizon, though the sun fights for every precious minute it gets to stay. It'll rain again soon, with the wind bringing along the gloomy clouds normal to Luxembourg. Till then, it doesn't hurt to be out here for fresh air and sunshine. I walk to the gardens, what little of it there is at the moment anyway, and kneel by the daffodils. These were the first to be brought here and planted on my request, and if nothing else, they brought in a sense of peace. They were Mother's favorites. Closing my eyes, I lift my chin up to welcome the light that shines upon me. And, for a minute, I can imagine myself as one of the flowers. Peaceful, blooming, and all too happy to stand in its warmth. Life would be much easier if we were all like flowers, wouldn't it? But I didn't step out here to get all philosophical. I have problems much more practical than figuring out the meaning of life, after all. Too many things have gone on these past few days. I want to forget about them, even for just a moment.
It's almost All Saints, isn't it? To think I've almost forgotten.
I speak the words absent-mindedly. The date means nothing to me as I neither worship the religion nor have any graves to visit. After all, Mother was never given a proper burial. But it's a date, as good as any, for me to grieve. Otherwise, I would have done so every single day, crippling myself and shutting everyone else out. I can remember how the flames licked at her flesh and how it consumed her body, till there was nothing left but ash. I stood there watching with the operator and a social service worker, though I could have been alone for all I cared. I felt alone. It was the most that could be done. No one would attend the funeral of a dead prostitute, let alone pay for it. All that is left of her, proof that she had lived, is her name written in the ledger of Luxbourne Cemetery. A lighter and me. Oh. He has a lighter. Pulling out the lighter from my jacket, I can't stop myself from flicking it open to stare at the flame and to run my thumb over her name. Eleanor. All in all, it isn't much, but it's something. And it'll be wrong of me not to make something of myself when she would have given everything to make sure I can become anything I want to be.
Feels like I'm stuck in a nightmare right now. What I would give to have you here by my side, Mother dear. To see you smiling at me, alive and as beautiful as ever. I'm afraid I'm starting to forget what your face looks like. I've already forgotten the shade of your hair.
Eleanor Chandler was a wonderful woman, though not everyone would have agreed. Not everyone had seen past her occupation, past her vices and her illness. All they saw was a poor woman who sold her body to make ends meet, and had a bastard son because of it. They didn't see the mother who worked hard to put food on the table for me. The woman who gave and gave and gave to me while expecting nothing in return. She taught me the merits of hard work, but though I loved her so, I worked hard for myself. I would not be so foolish, so selfless towards people who would never give back. I learned that from the father who plucked me out of an orphanage for his own selfish gain. I pocket the lighter before I can feel the urge to actually set anything ablaze. Considering my close proximity to the flowers, they would be most likely victim of arson. Just the thought itself is blasphemous. Nevertheless, that doesn't save them from being picked. Just enough to make a bouquet of the things in honor of Eleanor.
Would you be proud of me if you saw me now, Mother? Maybe. You're always so forgiving. No matter what trouble I got into, more than I deserved. Especially now.
It's been a while since I've talked to my mother like this. I've been thinking of both my dear parents far too much, as of late, when I shouldn't. I have a future to look forward to and the present to take care of. These memories of the past give me nothing but grief. The life of Lucille Mitchell Chandler should be nothing but a footnote in Luke Wright's non-existent autobiography. Because of Hannah, isn't it? I worry that she is all too much like Mother, that it scares me, and the thought that I'm turning into my father is even more so. But even if history is so set to repeat itself, I'm not a child anymore. Content, set aside, unable to do anything to help and too inexperienced to think that the worst wouldn't happen. I have money to buy the best medicines and doctors if need be. He'll get better. He has to. And once we get over this little bump in the road, I can stop worrying. All will be right with the world. Fortunately, my time alone is cut short, though.
I think those flowers look beautiful, my lord. The parlor, the room where the lady stays for her tea, it could certainly use some.
The voice is not familiar, though. I'm not really one to remember such things. Going with her attire, I would say that she's one of the housekeepers. Strange, considering I've sent all of the staff but Johann's away. And her face, as pretty as it is unfamiliar to me. It would be a lie if I said that it didn't set me on edge. Most would say that I cared little for my employees. That isn't entirely untrue. However, I'd like to think I know the people who work for me, especially those who would roam my home, even if it's just a face and a name. Besides, I would remember a beauty such as her. So who is this? he is someone impersonating a household staff to get in, he's doing a bad job of it.
Didn't you get the memo? Are you new? Today is a day off. You aren't supposed to be here.
I expect poor excuses and apologies the likes of her often give, but she merely smiles.
Oh, no. I've been a servant here since you first came.
And I see no signs of lying nor hear it in her words, yet they can't be true. But I find that I feel like I can relax. She has that sort of smile that makes one's kindness shine through without words or action. It reaches her eyes, filling them with a strange sort of mirth, as if she's just thought of something very funny. Perhaps, had it been any other person, I would have interpreted it as a deceitful grin. But the curl of her lips and the shine of her eyes are too soft to hold any malice. She takes my silence as a sign that she can continue. And it's not like I feel any urgency to stop her. I'm not really in the mood for company. I'm not adverse to it at the moment either. Entertaining a beauty like her, even for a little while, wouldn't hurt. It helps that she proves easy to listen to, despite how oddly she speaks.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have bothered you. Look at me, talking to the master of the house without even asking for permission. What will the others think? If you'll excuse me, I'll just...
I haven't driven you away yet, have I? And it's your day off. I don't see why we can't chat a bit.
Of course. If that is what you wish. As long as it does not get you into trouble with the lady. To even take time for someone as lowly as me. No wonder that everyone under the mansion's employ is so fond of you.
But,
Though it should have no longer been a surprise to me. You have always been such a kind and loving lord.
I have to stop myself from calling her out on her shite. Almost as if she's talking about an entirely different man. No matter how big my ego gets, I know for a fact that I'm hardly in the running for Best Boss of the Year award. The only reason that most of my staff stays because of the decent compensation. I'm not cheap. But if she wants to lay it on thick, I'll allow it. Who wouldn't want a beautiful woman complimenting them?
I'm sure she'll be fine with this. We are just talking after all. Unless you had other things on your mind when you approached me.
The words leave my mouth before I even realize what I've said. I panic a bit. Though I can get away with picking up women out in the city, sometimes even out of the county, I've always taken care not to do so in my home or in my businesses. Not when it'll be so easy for Hana to find out about my infidelity through these channels. Though seriously, I still don't see what the big deal about it is. I just have an itch I need to scratch.
I know it must be amusing to see a girl flustered for a man of your stature. But please don't say such things, my lord. I saw you alone and simply thought you could use some company.
Thankfully, and I do count my lucky stars, it seems that the woman takes it as a joke rather than the casual pass it was intended to be.
So how are you liking your work around the mansion? The place is wonderful, but I imagine the upkeep is ungodly with all the rooms and whatnot. I don't even want to think about how many people are on the staff roster.
Work is work, my lord.
It's work, huh?
It is a way of living. A purpose from day to day. It is certainly far better than doing nothing or having no food to eat. The house itself is also beautiful. There's no lack of things to look at. I'm sure you've seen those books in the study. I can't read any of them yet, but if given the chance, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be thinking of those things. Especially when the rains, they might bring more work to us soon. It will definitely be much more difficult when it returns. Idling about is the least I should be doing.
I guess you can put it that way if you want to be brutally honest about the whole thing. And the rain shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully. Maybe.
If a little dreary, at least she doesn't beat around the bush. I like the honesty. Many would bemoan their status as a household staff, the janitor, or other menial role and believe themselves to be for greater things. I would not begrudge the idea that one can always get better. But one shouldn't be so discontent with what they have either.
The rain is something I simply must get accustomed to if I am to live here. I've not spent long in this place after all. But I have been told that it has rained in this nation since a mother's time and their mother's time. There is little we can do about it. I am just glad to have time in the sun, even for a short while.
Isn't that the truth? Really, these sunny days have been welcome, though I can't imagine they'll last for long. Sometimes I just want to pack my things and leave for somewhere like, say, the Bahamas or whatnot. Get some sun and surf.
But certainly, you will return for us, won't you? This is your home, after all. Your people, they won't be pleased if the master of the house leaves.
Of course, I can't very well leave my businesses hanging here, can I? I just wish I could actually trust people enough to go on vacation without taking work with me. I've also got to get back here if I ever want proper meals. A proper pudding is something you'll never find out there.
The woman nods in understanding, and I must say that she makes for a fine listening ear. Although what she says next gives me pause, whether she meant for me to hear it or not.
And good tea. From what the cook has been telling me, I've yet learned how to prepare one. Perhaps once I do, it would endear the lady of the house to me. I never expected her to be so unkind after what she did for me. Though it's only if one catches her in a foul mood. I wish I knew how to avoid her anger.
I highly doubt she meets Hana. That woman rarely has a mean bone in her body. And when she actually isn't nasty towards someone else, it's usually deserving enough, much like with that Rochelle woman. Hell, she even tolerates Harvey for me, even if she did admit that she doesn't quite like the man. She must mean the head housemaid, right? I have to laugh at that. Not that I have room to speak. I don't deal with her myself anymore, though even Johans has a few choice words about the head hag. She's just been under the right employ when she was also head housemaid for my father. And if anyone's not going to get along with someone, it'd be that crotchety old woman? I don't know. I don't even remember her name. But the woman had been this strict, upstart bitch who took one look at me, her master's bastard son, and turned her nose up as if she were better by mere consequence of birth. That, and she absolutely loathed my very existence. Perhaps the rumors had been true. She had a miscarriage while bearing another one of dearest father's children, and she saw me as an obstacle to her being granted a better standing in life. I remember that much at least. The only reason I haven't sacked her yet is because of her competence. Also because working under my household makes her absolutely miserable. Her resignation made impossible by her pride.
Nobody really gets along with that woman. I think everyone just tolerates her because of how old she is. I mean, not to be rude or awful or anything, but she's at the age where she'll be pushing daisies soon enough.
Is she? Really, my lord? I'm sure the lady is much younger than that.
I think the thought of tormenting the young and beautiful gives her reason to live.
It does seem that way, though I feel sorry for her. One's life should not be wasted away on hatred and anger. It is never good for the heart or the head to always carry ill thoughts. But at the least, you are here for us. We are certainly so lucky to have a lord like you. The lady even more so. The gods smile down on her. Though, if I may be honest, she is to be envied.
Even when I have my suspicions about her, she's just so easy to talk with that I've forgotten. I don't know who she is and if she's actually one of the household staff. That would explain why she would so easily give obviously wrong statements about my character. Though she is here for malicious reasons, she would have done more than do small talk with me by now, wouldn't she? I have so many questions. Perhaps curiosity will kill this cat.
It's strange that I've never seen you before. What's your name?
You do not remember?
I don't believe you've mentioned it, or am I missing something?
You still cannot comprehend it, can you, my lord?
Her answer chips away at the good mood I'm starting to get into. I have every right to be angry at the cryptic response. He threatens insubordination with her very presence alone. But instead of hurling vitriol at the woman, I take a deep breath. I do not want my mood ruined further than it already is. Not right now, and I can let temper take its course another time.
Whatever your name is, and no matter how long you've been working for us, that does not change the fact that you shouldn't be here. I'll call you a cab to bring you to the city if you want.
Shouldn't I? What if I do not wish to leave? I merely desire to stay by your side and serve. Is that such a deplorable thing?
Her gaze sends chills down my spine. It's too easy to see the devotion, the obsession in her eyes. Not the good sort either, as her scrutiny makes me feel like I'm laid bare. The offness of her presence is all the more palpable, with a feeling of bugs crawling on my skin, and the silence that makes it seem as if the world has stopped. Any friendly atmosphere we might have had going for us is completely forgotten. Danger, small part in the back of my mind screams, the part that has kept me alive all these years. And, in hindsight, I'd be stupid not to take heed of it. But I've grown arrogant, complacent, and content to hide behind wealth and power.
Yes, it's a deplorable thing, as you said, because I'd like to be alone now. Thank you very much. If you didn't want the day off, you should have reported to your superior. This is utterly unprofessional of you, and I shall be issuing complaints. In fact, if you know it's good for you, you should start looking for another employer.
Is that my threat that the smile on her face turns tight?
I see. It escapes you still. This is unfortunate. How despairing that this misery must go on. But maybe, if you come with me, I can help you. I can...
When she reaches out for me, I recoil with a hiss.
How dare you lay your filthy hands on me without my permission? I am not going anywhere with you. Now step back and walk away before I have you forcibly removed.
As if a switch had been flipped, the woman's expression turns horrific. Although that may very well be the understatement of the century. She herself turns horrific. Her presence is suffocating, bearing down on me. I'm rooted on the spot, though no fault of my own, as my fear paralyzes.
You are too much like that vile woman, poisoned by her rotten influence and her filthy words. But that can be remedied now that you're here. Oh, how we have waited to welcome you home.
See?
Come, my lord. The house beckons.
When her fingers grasp the back of my coat, I finally find it in me to break off into a run. I can still feel her eyes on me as I run back to the house. But I refuse to acknowledge it, let alone look back. All I need is to get away from her and to make sure she stays away. if that means acting like a coward and seeking out company to keep me safe. Nobody can tell me to do otherwise. Bravery isn't something to be lauded if it comes along with stupidity. It must have been a sight to see the usually composed and reserved Luke Wright bursting through the doors. Not that I have much of an audience unless there are other staff members who's chosen to disregard my orders for them to leave. Really, I still doubt that woman is one of the staff. Mustering up the courage, I look back through the windows to see if she followed me. She's gone. But I don't take any chances, putting as much distance as I can between us. Stopping to catch my breath, Johan's sudden appearance nearly makes me jump out of my skin.
Don't fucking do that! You son of a bitch! If I had a gun, I would have shot you!
If I had any love left for my mutter, I'd take offense. But what happened to you? You look like you've seen a ghost.
I just did. Oh, if only it were such a delusion. But I can still feel her sharp nails digging into my back. The feeling was too real for it to have been a ghost.
There was his housekeeper. I think, I'm not sure. In the gardens. She was acting odd and I thought to remove myself from the scene.
Strange. I made sure the rest of the staff had left and that the house was empty, as you requested. Describe this woman.
She had pale skin, dark eyes, and long dark hair. She wouldn't give me her name.
I half expect a name from him. The man knows the staff better than I do, after all. But instead of an answer, he grows quiet. I'm pretty sure that is not a good thing. I'm even more worried when the other man looks me over. I have to protest when he pulls back my collar.
What in the bloody hell are you doing?
Checking for marks. Needle marks, to be exact. We don't have anyone like that among the staff. You could have easily been kidnapped.
Cold feeling settles itself over me at the thought. I've long established my power over the more unsavory characters in Luxembourg. Or I thought I did. And the most harm I thought that could come to me would be slander, robbery, or incarceration. Kidnapping? An attempt on my own person? I've forgotten that I'm as human, as immortal as any other man despite my wealth and status.
Fortunately, you look unharmed. But I advise that you be accompanied by trusted individuals at all times from now on. If not me, an assigned guard. I'll be informing them of this soon, as they return from their day in the city.
Already I can feel the energy leave me at the realization of what could have been.
All right. Yes, I suppose we should do that. But I think I'd like to call it a day. I should be safe in bed, yes?
I'll stand guard outside for the night. The madam has been inquiring about you, by the way.
A guard. Any other threat, and he alone would be enough to make me feel safe. But what I saw, whatever it is I saw, would one man be enough?
That's all well and good, but there's something else. That housekeeper, she...
Luke, you're home. I was worried about you.
The grin that I can muster is probably lopsided. Forced as I snapped my mouth shut to keep myself blabbing about witches and monsters. Because here I am standing in the hallway, dirt on my pant legs, and sweat dotting my forehead. Far cry from my usually pristine condition. I don't want to worry, hon. A cough.
What happened to you? You look like you wrestled in the mud and lost, dear. And those flowers. Were you gardening?
What? Oh, these. I didn't realize I still had them.
I really did not. But there they are, still in my grip, the daffodils I had taken from the garden. Even in the wake of my flight, I had refused to let go of them whether I was conscious of it or not.
Shall I put them in a vase?
Give them to Hana, I guess. You know, like flowers. Perhaps I did it to save face, or maybe a small part of me really had planned to take them for her. But, like a young man presenting flowers to a Valentine's, I awkwardly thrust the bouquet in Hannah's direction.
They're for you.
These are lovely, thank you. But aren't these?
The surprise is to be expected, and the open-ended question needs little interpretation. I've never given her daffodils before, especially not from ones that I considered mine.
They're for you. Don't make me think that kneeling around in the dirt was a waste of my time.
It's not. It's not. Just, are you feeling all right? I hope whatever I have isn't contagious.
I'm not sick, Hana. I just got them for you. I thought they'd make you feel better, brighten up the room. I don't need my intentions questioned. The thank you was enough.
And I didn't mean to insinuate anything. But you're right. Thank you, truly, for these.
She takes them from me, then, careful not to crush the stems. There's still uncertainty on her face which endears and annoys me in equal parts. But she does look lovely with them, the very picture of her something that should be immortalized in paint. They should be for Mother, but it doesn't matter anymore.
Why don't we turn in for the night? You must be exhausted with all that gardening.
What does a dead woman care for flowers? I'm dead. Are we? Up. I didn't get any sleep, not a single wink. I was so busy jumping at every shadow and worrying about waking with a knife in my chest. Or not waking at all, even when Hana wakes in spite of a mild fever and goes downstairs for breakfast. I stay in bed, thoughts of poisoned food running in my head. The rain that has started sometime during the night doesn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps, just a little. The strange sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be, feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. And with how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is waking up for all the sunny days it's given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it has given us with a good old... What? Did it just... Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Umulit lang siya. Weird. Anyway. It does let up within a quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloud burst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Duxbourne's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. I hope they did a damn good job of fixing this place because I'd rather not have to deal with leaky roofs. Don't like the idea that the realty did a horrid patch job with the place. We, well, Hana, technically, paid millions for this place. It better live up to the price the realty company sold it for. Roof problems aside, she's going to be a definite downer about this. Well, she hates the rain. Then again, who actually does? What sane person would like it when 9 out of 10 days consist of nothing but dark, drab and gray skies and piss water pouring from the heavens? She was just starting to enjoy the sunlight. I will have to get up and about eventually. That is a given. I'm not too keen on seeing or talking to Hana before she leaves for the hospital. Or eventually in a few days' time. This bloody house. Kylie won't like it if she comes here, only to find me in a bad mood. Few would dare rouse me from bed. Being able to keep their jobs is incentive enough. Trust that I trust they realize that now is not a good time to force me into anything. Maybe I can just get an hour or two sleep before Suarez drops his brat off the mansion steps. If only. But as always, somebody has to be a buzzkill.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want?
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered? Truly? Not even the slightest bit worried?
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
Loath as I am to admit it, he is right. Still, it's more frustrating when he doesn't give me time to concede his point.
I know you two aren't getting along.
Nosy bugger. Nosy bugger.
But you should at least see the madam off before we leave. Think of her as a business associate if you must. It would not do to part on bad terms.
It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
It's none of his business. None of it. If he remembers his place, he'll drop it. I don't want to talk to Hana. Not now, when I'm so high-strung and paranoid. This whole thing is a bloody mess with everything going off at once. I'm afraid that, with our troubles, I will misinterpret anything she might say or do. That just make the whole thing worse.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may very well help me calming down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. But they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
Look. About her. Though I'll deny it, I do find myself a tiny bit interested.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
Ever consider she might be putting her paycheck to good use? Probably somewhere out there getting drunk, having a shag. Ugh, and I envy her for it. As long as she's here for work, what and who she does in her free time is her business.
Hell, maybe she's found another client to sleep with. I'll commend her if that is the case. A good way as any to make connections and get business. I would be a hypocrite and a liar if I said I didn't get some of my business that way. Scratches the itch too.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
Mr. Parker? Who's Mr. Parker? Assistant?
Okay, interesting as all this is, why bring this to my attention? If we've lost an interior designer, just find someone else to take her place.
If I knew that letting Hana hire her would bring so much trouble, I would have stopped it at just 6.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party. Your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this, and to suspect.
It's of little import that I can easily prove my innocence. It's all a matter of principle. Because even the accusation of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation. Although, maybe it is a bit too late to hope for a squeaky clean one. Besides, it will be such a hassle to have police poking about the house looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye. Rolling over on my stomach, I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course, of course. Ah.
Indoor voice?
Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on!
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. Just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
Bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Change into a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my every existence, wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie is a great kid. Wonderful. Better than most brats her age. But handling a tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now with this whole Hana business. Fortunately, I am well versed in how the world works. I've long learned that the show must go on, no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I set to preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. Bed hair is disgusting, though it isn't as bad now as it was when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber's was, I often had to grow it out until mother had the time to cut it for me. The curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why I was even mistaken as a little girl because of that certainly doesn't help that I was named Lucille. A freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to start off the day. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. Horrors that come with taking care of a child.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Morning, Kylie. Speaking of the devil, and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Don't tell me you forgot. It's our play date today.
I doubt I'd forget. Kylie's visits are a frequent enough thing that they've found a way into my schedule. They're supposed to be visits to her godmother. But we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. It's all well and good for me if it makes Suarez focus on work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable. Kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course they have to thank me for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hana and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Why I can still remember the first time I saw her was during her baptism. Only reason I was there was to accompany Hana, who was to be named godmother. It was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, swaddled in her mother's arm and white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head, and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hana. I had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess, and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet it was pleasant too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as it's only for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortillas de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Tortilla de patatas. Ah, the Suarez infamous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. The miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake,
well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
it's easy enough to manage Kylie with the promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Haha, funny, very funny, Kylie.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me, and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long, unless I want to let her turn the other room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. That's a creepy doll, man. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Yeah, true. The doll's creepy. Narcissa, is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now, it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. And buy her a prettier doll, better toy. I will break it, find a way to get rid of it. If it wasn't from Hannah, and if only Kylie isn't so attached to it. It's from Hannah? Hannah bought her a doll that very. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loves her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest along with the wife. Not something that Hannah does wrong on her part. She does try so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she is made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I, at least, have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they've played and how they think. I know that scraps and skinned knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as behaved as she can be with her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. Run around the playground and make a mess in the mud, or to even just fake wrestle for a short while, Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweets, or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hana isn't quite up for those sort of things most of the time, thinking it'll spoil the child. There's a whole playdate awkward every time. Where are we? Taking the last seat left, I plucked one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect to see for a little girl, but doesn't hurt anyone. He wants to play with dolls in cars, or dolls with their cars. What do I care? He wants to put dolls tutus on model cars even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. We went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Dinosaurs are my favorite.
Pterodactyls?
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Cisa says it'll be big enough to eat all of my classmates.
Cisa, your doll? God. He only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Who's Takako? The ghost.
Taka who?
Who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. Child does have a way of befriending just about anyone, as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars to them. Both the thoughts of Cisa giving Kylie ideas, and one of said ideas being a massacre by dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father, aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precocious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. Our waffles because she wanted her own plate. Go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of this feast, Kylie puts it. If I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. Talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Bloxland in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to become comfortable once more. The memory of my initial meeting with her still fresh on my mind. The little brat is quick to defend her favorite academic as well. The woman's yet to offer a proper apology, and she wishes to give one on her behalf. All diplomatic like I thought her. She talks of the sad man in the park and of her new friend who likes to play hide and seek when she's not sniffing in the loop. Guessing the sad man in the park is Zach. When finally she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles. Of course, calm before the storm. Because behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this peace with no complaint for however long it stays. Have fun with the crayons as well. At a child's insistence, even I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon, that leaves me with the blue one. I absent-mindedly start to draw a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dogs another eye that Kylie breaks her silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a whole bunch of them ready for me. I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johannes and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I didn't know better, I'd say the kid is trying to make me feel guilty. Though I don't know if the bitter taste in my mouth is that or something else entirely. I really don't have time to process what the emotion is as the brat opens her mouth again.
You should have gone with her to the hospital. Hospitals are scary, you know.
They are, yes.
Exactly why I didn't go. I don't like hospitals, Kylie. That's all there is to it.
So you're not angry at Tia?
Why would I be angry at her? It isn't her fault she got sick.
I heard you and Tia are fighting. I heard that you might not be together anymore.
And who did you hear this from? I have to stop her there. Sure, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions and presume that we might be fighting. No thanks to Rochelle. But it's not common knowledge that things have actually gone sour, and to put it in her terms, that we might not be together anymore.
Oh, well, where did you hear this from?
I heard it from a nice maid lady.
Nice maid lady. A capo again, or did it ghost?
But that's still no excuse. Not when she's sick. She needs someone to hold her hand and bring her soup and make her drink medicine.
I'm livid. Livid that one of my employees might gossip, and to a child of all people. Who says such upsetting things to a child? My anger dies out when Kylie starts to tear up. She holds it back, in an effort to not seem so childish, I assume. Though I'm honestly confused as to why such news would upset her so.
Oh, no. Look, Kylie, there's no need to cry.
I'm not going to cry.
Yes, you are.
Are you sure? You've got no reason to cry. Even if Hana and I won't be together anymore, you can still visit me and I can still visit you.
That's not the problem. Why don't you and Tia love each other anymore?
I still love her, Munchkin, and I'd like to think your Tia still does too.
Isn't that the truth? I love her. I'm just total shite at showing it. A small part of me screams that I was not worthy to be her husband in the first place, no matter how hard I deny it. Perhaps in another time, another place, another me, I would have confessed that the whole world is nothing compared to her.
So why are you two fighting? You grown-ups are so stupid sometimes.
Why? Because I'm a brat, probably. Motioning for her to come closer, I wrap my arms around and rub her back in an attempt to comfort the child. Only when I feel her tears soak into my jacket that I realize that there might be something else to her worries. I've heard Suarez is not getting along too well with his wife as of late because of how busy he is with work. Really, I was wholly tempted to just brush her question off and say that it's a grown-up thing. I could content myself in pretending that this isn't happening. But it seems like she needs to hear this. That just makes it all the more painful to try and explain this, because I have to explain it not only for Kylie, but also for myself.
Sometimes, people fall out of love, or they think they've fallen out of love and need time apart. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They might be angry at each other, or they might feel sad. They need time for themselves to think about each other, to know if there is still love. Maybe they'll be back together again. Or maybe it's better for both of them to move on, instead of staying together and hurting each other pretending they still love each other.
There's nothing final. Here we are at a crossroads where the wrong step might end in heartbreak. Hannah thinks we need some time apart, but we aren't done just yet.
But yes, grown-ups can be rather stupid.
You're still gonna be my friend, no matter what, Tio?
Of course, my life would be less exciting without a little brat like you running around and making a mess of it. And you better stay my friend, even when I get all old and wrinkly.
Riley's shoulders shake in laughter as she pulls away and gives me a toothy grin.
You're already old! But don't worry. When you die, I'll burn you and put you in a jar so I can keep you forever! Just like they did with Abuelo!
That's creepy, Kylie. And who's Abuelo? My thoughts come to a grinding halt at her words, yet she goes on as if she hasn't just said such an odd thing. Why, it almost seems like the tyke is looking forward to my funeral. As if there's no confused expression on my face, she pulls me back to our drawings, commenting on the state of my weird dog.
I think your puppy would look better in magenta.
What?